I'm going to talk about the inner science of yoga. What does that mean? So originally I'm coming from the business world, and I was confronted with all the stress, all the big demands this materialistic world is having on us. And I always ask myself the question, is that everything? I actually started with Mark Rich in 1979, which was really the perfect timing to be financially very successful. And even though it was a great opportunity and I met a lot of people with a lot of money, I thought that they were not really happy. So for me, this question of what makes me happy, what makes me happy, what is the meaning of life in an extended way, has always been something I was following. And well, what has happiness to do with your mind? Because the theme is, how can I stop my mind? And well, it is the mind mainly that makes you unhappy. And let me explore that a little bit. So Albert Einstein, for me, one of the biggest thinkers ever, said, I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in silence, and the truth comes to me. When I first heard this quotation, I couldn't believe it was from Albert Einstein, because I always thought he was a big thinker. But it gives you a very good introduction to the limitation of our mind. And the limitation of your mind is something that makes it very difficult in our life to be happy. So if your mind is so important, at least you should have some tools, some knowledge, some know-how, how to deal with your mind. And ask yourself that question. Do you have this knowledge? Do you have a know-how to influence your mind? Do you have a know-how to really work with your emotions? Do you have a know-how to really work with your thoughts? Or is your life more or less compulsive in reaction to? Now in this special time, very much you feel the limitation of the materialistic world. Laws, governments imposing restrictions on you. And you might ask yourself, well, do I have any choice? No, you don't have any choice regarding the restrictions. Your choice is how you react to it. And this is why we can call the whole science of inner world an inner science. And this is why I called it the inner science of yoga. Because yoga has become very, very popular. Many people do yoga. But what does yoga mean? And is the yoga that, in our understanding, really the yoga as it is supposed to be? So the first question we have to ask ourselves, is yoga based on physical activity? Is the physical activity, is the root of yoga? So in other words, is yoga some kind of a physical activity, like golf, like football, like jogging? You do yoga? No, it isn't. As a matter of fact, yoga has to do with your inner world. And I don't know in English, Geisteswissenschaft. So it's a science of your inner world. It's a science of how to deal with your emotions, how to deal with your thoughts, and how very practically can you have an impact on your daily life. So when you look at Patanjali, you can say the founder of this classic yoga tradition. If you study his scriptures and you try to go to the essence, what is the essence of yoga? You'll find, for example, yoga is the ability to transform the limitation of the physical aspect of life and the limitation of your mind. What does he mean with the limitation of the physical aspects of our mind and the physical aspect of the world? Well, if he's talking about overcoming the limitation, there must be somehow an experience on a different level. There must be experience not only on a physical realm, there must also be an experience beyond the physical. Otherwise, how can you overcome the limitation? And this is one of the basic principles of yoga, to understand that we have different realities. We as a human being have the possibility to make experiences in the physical world, but also we have the ability to make experiences in the non-physical world. And these experiences in the non-physical world is beyond the limitation of our mind, and is also beyond the limitation of the laws of our materialistic world. Because what are the laws? How do you define a materialistic world? Well, you define it by everything has a limitation. So the limitation, the frontiers, the separation is one of the aspects of the physical world. In the non-physical, there is no limitation. And we as human beings, we can make experiences in the physical, on the physical level and on the non-physical level. So now you can ask yourself, okay, depending on my past experiences, which level am I an expert? Which levels do I know really well? I assume that this might be the physical world, because our whole education, everything we are thought to believe, is based on the physical aspect of a materialistic world. Be it our science, be it our medical faculties, they all base themselves on the physical aspect of our life. So from child on, we are really impregnated with these limitations in the physical world for such a long time, until we identify and we believe the essence of who we are is physical. And if this physical structure stops working, everything is gone. And yoga is a totally different concept. And the concept is based on the question, who are you? What is the essence of your being? Are you just this physical body? Are you your emotions? Are you your thoughts? Or what are you? Interesting question. I always ask these questions in my coachings. Well, you might realize that you are not your body. You have a body. You are not your thoughts. You have a thought. And you are also not your emotion. You are also not your mind, because if you were your mind, you could never ever overcome the limitation of your mind. But why is it that so many people cannot overcome the limitation of their mind? Because they think they are the mind. They identify with the mind. So this whole realization of how to overcome the limitation of your mind is based on your experiencing your true self. You have to know what you are and what you are not. You have to know what belongs to you and what does not belong to you. And this differentiating faculty of your conscious mind is called buddhi in the yoga tradition. So buddhi means you always have to make, you always have to be clear what is true, what is not true, what belongs to me, what belongs not to me, what I am, what I am not. So, thoughts and emotions I have, but I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions. So if you go into a monastery, meet a master in the Himalayas, one of the questions he will ask you when you are discussing about these things. Well, if you're not your thought, if you're not your emotion, and if you're not your body, what are you then? And then the next question comes, who is experiencing the sensation of your body? Who is experiencing the awareness of your mind? Who is experiencing these emotions? There is something within you experiencing thoughts, experiencing emotion, experiencing your physical body. With your 5 senses, you have the possibilities to be aware of the physical aspect of this materialistic world. But who is experiencing it? If you know that answer, and that's really one of the most important things you have to realize, once you realize who you really are, your mind will become quiet. Interesting concept. So if you think what you are, if you know what you are and what you are not, if you know what belongs to you and what belongs not to you, if you are certain and you know that truth, in that very moment, your inner dialogue will stop and you will become very quiet. So that's the answer to the question how you stop your mind. But what does it really practically mean? Well, in the concept, it means that the whole thing of quietening and stopping your mind is beyond your mind. It is not a believing system. I'm not trying to convince you to believe me that I am right. Because the whole concept of overcoming your mind must be beyond the mind. The mind cannot overcome itself. So you have to step out of your mind And as I said before, your mind is a tool in the physical world to help you to be more efficient. It's nothing more than a tool you can use from time to time. But what happens, or what happened, is that this tool has become so powerful that your mind is just overwhelming every aspect of your life. It's so strong, your mind, that you are not really aware anymore what you are and what you are not. Because your mind makes you believe that the mind is what you are. The mind makes you believe that the emotions are what you are. And the mind makes you believe that the thoughts you have in your head is what you are. So you really have to step out. And this process of stepping out is not an experience in the physical reality. So we have to go beyond the physical reality in the non-physical aspect. And let me talk about the possibilities of this reality. So when I say the physical aspects of your life are limited by borders, by limitations, by opposites, by time, also time is based on the physical reality, then all opposite qualities are based in the non-physical realm. So when you close your eyes for a moment. When you close your eyes, do you have any limitation in your imagination? Or can you just imagine anything? Well, of course, there is no limitation. Of course, in your imagination, there is no limitation. So if in your imagination is no limitation, it means that this part is not part of the physical aspect of the world. So if you are in the process of imagining certain things, visualizing, do you have any limitation in visualization? No. So in this process of visualization, of imagination, there is no limit. So here you are on a different level. Now, for example, if you imagine yourself to be very strong and successful and happy and powerful, if you imagine that very, very, very strongly, what will you experience? Well, you will experience just that. You will experience yourself very powerful, very successful, very focused, very happy. Do you think Roger Federer puts his mind on losing every match he's going to play? Or do you think he visualizes himself to be always the winner? Now you might say, okay, but the imagination, that's just, an escape from the reality of the physical world. It's not real. Well, interesting enough, the old traditions of Aborigines, the shamans, they will tell you just the opposite. They will tell you, no, the physical aspect of your life is not real. The non-physical is real. Why do they say that? Because the non-physical aspect of your life has no limitation, in opposite to the limitation of the physical world. So if you really want to be powerful, happy, if you really want to make a change in the physical world, by using the tool and methods of the physical world, like your mind, you will never ever be able to transcend the limitation of that level. Only if you go to the non-physical aspects will you be able to transcend these borders. So yoga is the science of making experiences in the non-physical aspect of our experiences. So training our possibilities in the non-physical aspects where we make real experiences is the basis in order to stop your mind and to transcend the limitation of the physical world. So one aspect of this work is this difference between visual perception and non-visual perception. So when your eyes are opened, with your visual perception, with your eyes, you are connected to the physical world. Also with your ears, you are connected to the physical world. Once you close your eyes, still you are with your ears connected with the physical world, but now in the non-physical aspect, for example, visualization or imagination becomes possible. So yoga is also the art of non-visual experiences. There are so many different meditations, which most of them are non-visual. And why is that so important? Because, as I said, this transformation of the limitation of your mind is not something you have to believe in. It's not really working with the tools of your mind. It has to do with truth and knowing. So what is the difference between believing and knowing? Just now in this crisis, what can you believe? What is true? What is not true? And I told you about this buddhi, this differentiating mental, well, you can say process that is one of the most important tools in order to transcend these boundaries of the mind and of the physical world. So let us make a practical exercise. Close your eyes. Breathe into your abdomen. As you inhale, you feel your abdomen expand. And as you exhale, you feel your abdomen relax. Inhale, abdomen expands. Exhale, abdomen relax. Now, from the visual world, go into the non-visual perception by closing your eyes. And activate the sensation of sounds. Now try to be fully aware of all sounds in front of you. Now be fully aware of all sounds behind you. Now be fully aware of all sounds on the left side. And now be fully aware of all sounds on the right side. Now try to be fully aware of all sounds surrounding you in all 4 directions. And try not to miss any sound. So what you experience now, this alertness, this awareness of the present moment, trying not to miss any sound. Ask yourself, is there any limitation in your experience? Then open your eyes again. So you just experience the essence of what you are, beyond your mind. Because in this process of I am now, being fully aware of the present moment, there is no limitation. And that's a real experience. So that brings us back to the yoga, to the inner science of yoga, which says the essence of what you are is non-physical, not materialistic. The essence of what you are is not based on the materialistic world. It's not under the laws and under the boundaries of the physical world. The essence of what you are is just the potential. Everything is possible any moment. There is no limitation in your experience. And one aim of the mindfulness, one aim of meditation is that this becomes your knowledge, your truth. You know, that's what I am. So this process of perceiving the present moment, I am now, your perception of thoughts, there is a perception of emotion, there is a perception of your physical body, but there is always a witness of the thoughts, there is always a witness of the emotion, and there is always a witness of the activities of your physical body. Who is that witness? You can just experience it. It's the conscious mind, I am now. So the essence of what you are is limitless, without limit. And once you become aware of that, you have the possibility and the toolkit to go beyond your mind and to stop your mind. What does it mean to stop your mind? Does it mean there are no thoughts? Does it mean your mental process is just stopping? Or does it mean you are not allowing your mental process to have control over you? Second concept sounds very interesting. Because in your experience, you think this thought arising in your mind has control over you, over your life, over your future, over everything. You're a very happy person if this is a positive thought, and you're a very miserable person if this is a negative thought. And because the thought pops up and you experience it's taking over, and this happens again and again and again, you think these thoughts have full control over you. And this is just not true. That's a misconception. Maya, as it is called in Buddhism. Deception, deceiving mind. That's not the truth. So let us explore the process of what's really happening. So we were talking about the essence of what you are. This witness, this openness, this potential of I am now. This experience of I am now is not conditioned in any way. And every second is totally different. Because it will never come back. The second you're experiencing right now will never ever come back. So exploring the full potential of each second is the activity transforming your mind. So what game is your mind playing with you? There is a thought. What happens with your attention? Your attention will be drawn to the thought. The moment your attention is with the thought, what happens? This thought will take control over you. There's another thought. Your attention is being attracted. Once you get in contact with that thought, and that can be a very miserable thought, it can be a thought pulling you down, helping you not at all, really making your life very miserable, even though it's such a bad thought, it takes over. So when this happens and continues and continues and continues, you are becoming very afraid of this process. Because do you have it in your hand to control what thoughts are coming up and what thoughts are not coming up? No, you don't have. And I cannot help you. The good news is it doesn't matter. Stopping the mind does not mean there are no more thoughts arising in your mind. Stopping your mind means even though there are thoughts coming up, you are just ignoring them. You staying in this distance. Because this process of your attention is drawn to the thought. Next step, you will identify with this thought. And now you have become the thought. Next thought arises. You look at it. You put your focus on it. You identify with it and you become it. The moment you become it, you experience that the thought has taken full control over you. But you just don't have the technology and knowledge how to end this whole thing. Even though you are in this process of being identified with a thought you don't want, what do you usually do? Don't think about pink elephants. Don't think about pink elephants. Does it work? No. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to have you. This negative thought, I don't want. Will it go away? Never ever will it go away. Why? Because you don't understand the concept and principle of the power of your intention and focus. So actually, a thought coming up from wherever, we don't know. This process we don't have control over. Everything you experience, the moment you experience, there's nothing you can do. And if you fight against yourself. It's not a good strategy. But what you can do is, there's a thought. And there is my perception. I have this distance. I am the witness of the thought. Now, in this process, in this distance, this thought will have no impact on you. And that's one important part of the training. Because it doesn't help you believing me. You must experience it. By experiencing it, you realize the truth. So that means, actually, it is not the thought having control over you. Actually, you are allowing your thought to have control over you. And you can allow and you cannot allow. And that's the great news. Once you realize that, once you integrate that into your daily life, you know what it means to be beyond the limitation of your mind. So that's one very practical aspect of how to stop your mind. And the same is with your emotions. Emotions are always in reaction to. There's a situation and you are reacting. There's another situation and you're reacting. This reaction of your system is a conditioned behavior. It's a conditioned reaction based on your history. So when I ask people, who are you? I always or often get the answer, I am all my experiences. I am my history. I am my memory. Are you really your memory? Are you really everything you experienced so far? Is this really what you are? So when you are your memory, you are also your conditioning. Then you are also your limitation. And when you are your limitation, how will you ever be able to overcome them? And also psychology says you have to accept this limitation is part of you. No. Yoga has a totally different approach. You don't want to accept anything that is limiting your potential, because it's not part of you. So you have a history, but you are not this history. You have a memory of your past, but you are not the memory. You are conscious mind of no limitation in the present moment. And the training is to always work with that. Because if you believe, and this is really how it's impregnated into your system, you have a behavior, you have a pattern, you have a conditioning, and you repeat it on and on and on and on. Ask yourself, the conditionings you are in, are they helpful? Do they help to make you happy? Do they bring you freedom? Or are these conditionings limiting your power, pulling you down, limiting your possibilities? Are these conditioning making you feel very unfree? You will realize a big part of your conditioning is limiting yourself, because this conditioning is based upon pain, painful experiences in your past. And now, when you think you are your past, and when you think, well, I always behaved like that, this is who I am, do you think with this mindset that there will ever be a possibility to overcome this limitation? Never ever will you be able. So again, stopping your mind means becoming clear of these concepts, of the signs of your inner world, and always testing them. Always look, does it work? Does it work? Does it work? Okay, I'm stressful. I have a breakdown of my computer. I lost important data. The last 2 hours are just wasted. Boom, you are now in a compulsive situation, which you might have repeated many, many times. And it has overcome you. It is making with you. You feel totally unfree, out of control. In the midst of this process, just getting in touch with the present moment will undo all the conditioning, because you realize who you are. You connect with the truth of your being, and you realize, I just experienced this conditioning. I just experienced these sensations in my body. I experienced just the thoughts and emotions being part of this conditioning. And this very moment you do that, you will realize and experience that you have full control again. And by repeating this on and on and on, you start to know the real truth of what you really are. And that's the basis for overcoming the limitation of your mind and stopping your mind. So your mind is always based either on your past or making speculations in the future. Even though you have a worst case scenario in the future, a real bad scenario, it has not yet happened. Even though you have this scenario, in the now, you can suffer tremendously. So you can suffer about something which is not real and might never happen. And the same thing you can do with your past, even though it has happened to you, and there is nothing you can do about that. You can in the present moment suffer a lot about your past. So the escape is the present moment, because at the present moment, when you really interact consciously, you will realize this very blink of a second has never been experienced by you before, and you will never be able to experience it again. So in the present moment, the concept of limitation, the concept of pattern of conditioning is not possible. That's the strength of mindfulness, because this becoming aware of the present moment, realizing who you really are, will unwind all the conditioning. Connecting yourself with what you really are. And this whole process is what yoga is all about.